We started from scratch, armed only with an old Landini and big dreams. We mowed every patch of grass, working hard for our first dollars, while FS Master was already plotting ways to get ahead of us. But when I finally invested in proper equipment and a winch to conquer the tree island, my neighbor revealed his true colors. He brazenly drove up and stole my first wood right off the island. Today, the jokes are over. Welcome to the second episode of our island adventure. A face-off, one-on-one with FS Master. We're starting today with $6,100. This is the result of our hard work and time lapse I mentioned in the previous episode. The plan for this morning is ridiculously simple. Our island is already fully mowed, so we need to make neat rows and start baling everything efficiently to finally earn some real money for further development. If you like this showdown and want to see the neighbor get a stern lesson for his behavior, be sure to subscribe. I want to reach 100,000 subscriptions on this channel as soon as possible. I hope you'll help me achieve this goal. In this episode, I'm throwing all my resources at this wooded island. Transporting logs across my unfortunate moat is a real challenge, but I have a plan to simply fill in that deep trench and create a stable passage for my Massey Ferguson. But wait, look over there. What's that neighbor up to again? That looks like a professional logging winch. The neighbor seems to have decided to use a logging winch that came with the farming expansion. I have a much cheaper and, in my opinion, far more effective method for that. My Tajfun winch is even stronger now, and I believe with it, I'll pull all those logs over faster and cheaper than FS Master can even get them ready and hooked up to the cables. We'll see whose strategy turns out better in this race. Since the area is prepared, it's time for some serious shopping. First on the agenda is a decent chipper and a new trailer. I had to get the high-sided version because on my current platform, the chips would scatter with the first strong gust of wind. There are no workshops on the map, so instead of fiddling with the old equipment configuration, I just bought a new trailer. Price-wise, it turned out to be quite decent, and building my own workshop made no sense at this stage. We need to account for every penny, because any wrong decision could cost us dearly. It's finally time to fire up this beast and see how it handles our island trees, which are just waiting to be processed. At the very beginning, I had some minor technical issues with it because I'm not yet as skilled in operating the chipper as my neighbor. FS Master has been in forestry for a long time, and everything looks so simple with him. And I still have a lot to learn to match his pace. And this is where the real challenges began. I really don't know what kind of black magic the FS Master uses that makes entire trees disappear into the machine in a second, while I struggle with every tiny branch. I'm cutting it all into small pieces, yet the machine resists and refuses to cooperate. I specifically cut out my most unsuccessful attempts, so you wouldn't have to watch me battle with these pieces of wood and lose my patience. It's just a tragedy how stubborn and problematic these deciduous trees can be in this new farming. The trailer is already full to the brim. I need to go sell it now to give my account a nice boost of cash. Just take a look at this trailer. I'm bouncing over this grass like a madwoman. It looks incredibly comical. Oh no, the neighbor is robbing me in broad daylight again, right before my eyes. Did you see that? Everything spilled straight into his trailer because he parked there so brazenly. I made $27,500 on that run, but FS Master just pulled a fast one on me and now he's laughing right in my face. I literally gave him free money because my chipper was dumping excess material into his setup when my trailer hit 100%. He's constantly using dirty tricks and games here. First he stole my wood and now he parks right under the chipper spout. We talked about it and he openly admitted that he placed his setup there specifically to take my excess. It's honestly a world-class performance in annoying your neighbor. I need to get back to baling immediately to take a breather and calm my nerves before the next stage. I just sold another load, and now I have $50,790 in my account. The wood brought in some money, but it could have been much better if not for the neighbor's courtesy. This old baler is driving me absolutely crazy. It works tragically slow and I don't have the patience to work like this. I'm returning it to the store without regret and getting something that will actually speed up our production on the island. I'm opting for a baler with a built-in wrapper. Leasing cost nearly $6,000, which is a huge risk for our budget. But we have a whole island of trees, so we'll make it work somehow. The biggest advantage is that I won't have to go to the same place twice. This might be my only real advantage over the neighbor, unless he picks up the same thing any moment now. FS Master copies every good idea I have, just like I sometimes peek at his. On this small patch of land, it's really hard to have a unique strategy. We'll see what we'll do when the bales on this island run out. We'll probably have to take care of the forest, or try to create another piece of land. But here is where the real challenges begin. When I was recording this episode, editing terrain and farming multiplayer was an absolute nightmare. Everything was working with a huge delay. Imagine that the islands only physically form about 10 minutes after you finish building them. It's a tragedy that makes you not want to build anything bigger. But we have no choice if we want to grow. I'm renting a second tractor to speed up the work. I want to make that crossing to the other island through the water right away. Some money went into this, and with these lags, everything is done by feel. Now I just have to be incredibly careful not to check the depth of the river with my own tractor, because the bottom here is particularly treacherous. We're starting to grind my favorite pines. These are the tall trees that go into the chipper without any resistance. Pure satisfaction. The pines in this farming look great, but cutting them down is a completely different challenge now. In the previous part it was much easier. You drove the saw through, the branches disappeared, and that was it. I guess it should work like that here too, but I can't manage to trim those branches. It doesn't work for me. Fortunately for now, everything is working stably and we don't have major physics issues in multiplayer. The only thing really getting to us here is the terrain editing. It's the real Achilles heel of this version of the game, especially when building islands. Unfortunately, my favorite and easy to process pines have just run out. Now I'm facing a battle with these branched monsters, which are really hard to fit into the chipper without grumbling. I'd like to thank you very much for leaving so many subscriptions. We're going for the record. As I mentioned, I really want to hit 100,000 on this channel. It's amazing how quickly our community is growing. Let me know when you started watching my videos and whether you first watched my second channel, Not Farming, where the videos are without voice commentary, or if you just discovered my channel now. I got so caught up talking about plans and memories that I completely lost focus. And it happened. I can't believe it. I drove the tractor straight into the water. The engine is flooded, the machine is immobilized. This is just a disaster. In 1 second, the entire plan for this episode could have ended up at the bottom of the river with the chipper. It was a moment of pure horror. I had goods worth tens of thousands of dollars in the chipper, and I didn't know if the wood chips would just disappear after resetting the equipment. If that happened, I would have been bankrupt at the very start of the series. I tried everything to get it out, but the ditch was too deep. I had to risk a reset. Fortunately, the chips in the tank survived. I saved the fortune, although my pride took a hit because of such a silly mistake. I just couldn't see exactly where I was going. Now I have to slowly unload everything onto the trailer, and with this much to move, it really takes us ages here. The unloading takes forever because this chipper has some kind of magical huge tank inside. Seriously, you can load tree after tree in there and it just keeps accepting the material. Time to make some of our famous marshmallows. That's what you call them in the comments, and I must admit, the name fits perfectly. I always choose white wrap because the colored ones just don't look right to me. White bales on the green field look best, everything is just as it should be. Unfortunately, farming is starting to glitch again. There was a server lag and the neighbor got kicked out of the game. Fortunately for you, it was just an unnoticed cut and the neighbor returned to his island. However, the real problems will start later, when editing the terrain. I already know this because I'm recording this commentary after recording the entire episode. Prepare for a solid dose of frustration in the later part. And now I'm going into ultra turbo mode and will gather all the grass that's been raked into rows on this island. Real movie magic. Now I need to wrap all the bales I left earlier. Selling plain grass is a pure waste of money. It's completely unprofitable. Each wrapped bale is about $1,300 after fermentation, so the price difference is huge. Every thousand on these limited islands is now worth its weight in gold. I'm curious what FS Master is plotting over there in the meantime. I bet FS Master is cutting wood like crazy to earn as much money as possible and gain an advantage. Let us know in the comments how you assess the situation on our farms. Who do you think is leading this race? This is just the second episode, but the differences in equipment and technique are already visible to the naked eye. And there it happened. I've run out of wrapping film for the wrapper. In this version of the game, the film disappears in no time, and the worst part is I had to spend several $1,000s on a whole pallet. You can't buy a single roll, which with our modest funds hurts doubly. If you know any way to make cheaper purchases, be sure to write. Wrapping with the FS Master may not be the fastest, but this is probably the last time I use it, since I already have a baler that automatically wraps the bales with film. Only remnants are left here. Alright, we're risking it all. I'm going to try creating a completely new island now. You'll see for yourself how tragically this works. I used the terrain painting brush, and the effect appeared with such a delay that I was already in another place. The money disappears from the account faster than chips in the chipper. We're in the red. Account balance, minus $1,000. There's nothing left for me but to head back to the forest and keep chipping away so I can climb out of this debt. Minus $5,000. I don't even know where this amount came from. Probably some leasing fees have been added. These branching trees are my punishment for ambition. FS Master apparently has some magical way that makes the whole tree disappear for him in just a second. I have to struggle with it. I try to pick smaller pieces because pushing those giant logs with super strength just doesn't feel right to me at all. It looks unnatural, and I'd rather keep at least a bit of realism. Small birches like this one are a total waste of time because they yield little chips and require as much work as a big pine. It's a nightmare with these branches. I'd sooner toss this tractor into the water again than push this log in hole. I have to cut off each branch individually. Here, FS Master has a huge advantage over me with his magical tree chipping skills. Moreover, the neighbor just arrived and shamelessly stole the tree I painstakingly retrieved from the island. I'm simply at a loss for words about this person. There must be some justice, so I promise you, I'll get back what's mine. Look at that middle island. FS Master turned it into one big parking lot for his machines. Spoiler, that's how it will look for most of the series. I now have over $67,000 in the account, so I'm going back to finish my new, incredibly expensive island. I've spent the rest of the money again, and we're in the red once more. What's worse, because of these lags, I accidentally made a dent in the terrain that I can't level out now. If you want to try your hand at this map yourself, you'll find a link to my Patreon in the description. Now you can play smoothly without lags. For us, it's simply the fault of the old version of the game. I also sold our small starter tractor, which we owned, so we got some extra cash that I'll soon put to good use. I'm planting trees that can actually be quickly and pleasantly ground down. On the new island, I plan to create a crop field. I'm renting a cultivator, a seeder, and buying seeds and fertilizer. This island has already cost me over $100,000, and I have serious concerns that with such enormous expenses, it will never pay off. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. Unfortunately, free terrain editing didn't work here. The mod was supposedly active, but in multiplayer, the game has its own rules. Every shovel stroke is another hit to my wallet. This new island of mine is so huge that creating a new field on it takes about 30 seconds. I mark the shape of the field, move the bales aside, and pray that the canola saves my budget. The account balance is now a meager $2,700. This is just some kind of joke. If I'd bought a greenhouse instead of this island, I'd be rich by now, but instead I have a patch of sand for which I'll still have to rent a harvester. However, I've noticed a little trick. The chipper pulls in wood much better when you insert several logs at once. It somehow disappears faster in the machine then. The physics in this farming game are pretty weird, but I'm not going to argue with it. I'll grind this tree to the end and head straight to the central island to boost my budget a bit. We're selling another load of chips. I was hoping for 50,000, but only got barely 21. My earnings today are tragic, and I wasted most of the money making that silly little island. The only thing left for me now is to plant even more trees on the forest island, so I can make some real money off it in the future. I definitely need a cash injection. At the end of the day, I bought some fertilizer, only to realize my seeder doesn't have a fertilizer tank. Another $2,000 wasted due to my distraction. On the new island, I hired someone to plant rapeseed for me, and I returned to my first island to finish creating a field where I'll probably plant rapeseed as well. I don't have a better idea right now on what to plant here. Rapeseed seems like a good choice. If you're still watching this episode, feel free to leave me a SteelSeries comment, and while you're at it, check out the description to see the gear from our sponsor who provides me with computer equipment for giveaways. Just one more pass and the new field will be ready for planting rapeseed. I'm taking the tractor with the seeder, and this time I won't hire anyone. I'll do it myself much faster. It's been a long and crazy episode. The island is ready, though my wallet is empty. If you don't want to miss the upcoming struggles with lags and the thieving neighbor, make sure to subscribe. This series will last for at least 6 more episodes, so the fun is just beginning. Thanks for being with me. Check out the playlist in the description and see you soon.